So welcome everybody. We're going to start off with a video, and I hope you find it. Inspiring.
I received Flo's diagnosis at work in my car. I think my first question was like, what are we talking about here in terms of her life?
What do you think, Flo?
You know, people say it's so cliche, but honestly, Flo being born was the best day of my life.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, everything was perfect. She was born July 11th, 2020, 7/11, so it's easy for me to remember as a dad. It's a dramatic day, but everything went perfectly. And we were so happy, you know, to see her and to meet her, and she was doing so great. Around, 8, 9, 10 months, I started noticing she wasn't doing certain things she was supposed to do. And she wasn't sitting up at her 9-month checkup. We were suggested to see a neurologist to maybe just check things out. No one was super alarmed at that point. That's what led us getting genetic testing, which is a whole long path.
When we got our diagnosis, we're talking about the world of kind of the ultra rare. They delivered the news, but it was their first time ever giving the diagnosis to someone, so they really didn't know. They emailed us a packet of information. I was totally caught off guard. None of Florence's doctors had at all heard of STXBP1. The disease wasn't given a proper name. It is named after the protein that has failed. What are we talking about here? Is she going to live independently? And they responded and just said, no one ever has.
It's like everything you have to teach them. Everything takes lots of time, lots of energy, and then some of these tasks, you're lucky if they learn how to do it.
All right, here we go. Ready, set, push. 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 You gotta use one hand at a time, push.
Really, the goal is to get as much therapies and support as possible.
Come on, step. Yes, girl. Okay, Flo, again. Step. Come on, step, baby. Yeah. Good steps, Flo. Step.
She's in physical therapy twice a week, speech therapy twice a week, occupational therapy twice a week. Would work on everything from using both her hands at the same time to crawling to how she uses her teeth and her jaw and her mouth. When we spend an hour a day standing in front of a mirror so she gets the proper joint compression that a normal 2-year-old would already be standing.
Push. Push. Yay.
Step.
Clap. Clap your hands. Yeah. Clap your hands.
You see her make growth and you celebrate every small thing that they do. You get so excited when they do something new because you work so hard for it. She works so hard.
Oh, girly.
And she gets excited too, when she does these things. She gets so happy. You can see when it finally clicks and she starts doing it. It's so exciting for everyone.
You can do it. Yes. Yeah.
On Rare Disease Day 2022, Sam and I announced to the world that Florence has STXBP1. We did that as a way to also announce Flourish, which is our fundraising endeavor that will hopefully contribute to research and also to someday cure this thing.
And it really just takes more support. It really takes more people from the community knowing and caring and stepping up and doing what they can because we're so close. But we just need to keep pushing.
I'd like to introduce you to Bridget Finn and her husband Sam, as well as Flo.
Hi, guys. Wow, thanks for watching our video. Sam worked so hard on that video with his friends, and he scored it, and then he rescored it. Yeah, Dad did a great job on that. Good job, Dad. Yeah. So I wrote something that I may or may not say. Yeah, God, I haven't watched that in a while. I probably should have watched that before we showed it to all of you. No, I'm good. Thank you. So my name is Bridget. This is my husband, Sam, and our daughter, Flo, for those of you that I don't know in the room. Flo turned 6 last week, so as far as she's concerned, this is really an extension of her birthday party. It's now day 7, so welcome. Thank you all for coming. You know, 6 years ago, before Flo, our lives looked so different. Sam was making music pretty much all the time. If you couldn't find him, he'd be in our recording studio in the basement. He was working for NPR. I owned an art gallery in downtown Detroit. And around the time of Flo's arrival, I was planning a citywide arts festival that was basically connecting over 80 arts organizations to participate. So I hadn't even planned like a maternity leave. I didn't take one. I was on the morning news 4 days after Flo arrived. It was like, that just gives you a little insight into how prepared we were to arrive here. It was a shock. So like every first-time parent, we imagined a certain future. And then our life really became very, very small, very quickly. First because of COVID, and then because of the uncertainty that really surrounded Flo's delays. At 9 months, she wasn't sitting. There was a tremor. There were many appointments, lots of waiting, therapies, more waiting. And really, over and over, we were reassured, Flo has not experienced seizures. We were really reassured that everything would be absolutely fine by every doctor that we had. One of them even told us she was far too beautiful to have anything seriously wrong with her. So basically, when it came time to the genetics appointment, I know you would like the microphone, I know. When it came time to the 6-month, waiting period, we'd gotten through it, it was time for genetics, that doctor retired, and we were told we had to wait another year. Which is when we drove across the state of Michigan to try another hospital group with a connection to the one we had in Detroit. And they were able to swab her cheek. So that was great. We did it. And 3 months later, we got a phone call. And the genetic counselor reached out, asked if I was somewhere private. And I said I could run to my car. And that's where he delivered the news that they had found a medical reason for Flo's challenges. She loves a microphone. She's obsessed with karaoke at home, so I might have to just stand over here. So basically, it was the first time the genetic counselor had ever given the diagnosis, and many things were not, she said absolutely she'll talk. She won't walk. It was just a total grab bag of what we got there. And of course, I drove right to Sam's office. It was the first day he had returned to work post-COVID, so he'd been back at work for 3 hours. And I basically, showed up. I was a mess. And that's sort of like the moment our lives changed, forever. We went home and, did what I think everyone does. We immediately got really serious about Google and started, trying to figure out a way out of this. And we found ourselves on CHOP's website, and we read Dr. Helbig's profile, and we read about the Engine Clinic, and we sent an email that was basically like, can you help us? Here we are. And the next morning, we got an email back, and Sarah Ruggiero spent an hour on the phone with us that evening, basically clarifying, what was and was not true, which at that moment was absolutely the most helpful thing that we could have imagined. And so from there, I had to travel to Miami for work, which was really the hardest business trip of my life. And through a mutual friend, I was introduced to Karen Rosenblum. Yes, it was quite a call. And she told me then about the wonders of Ella. And also told me about all of the joy, which was not something that I had at all considered at all. And in that moment, it was very fresh. And I'll always remember that. 2 weeks later, we then drove to Philadelphia, where we met the Prosser family, and we met Heather Jones and Camden, and we got very lucky to have immediately connected with people who were sharing our experience. It was the foundation next, parent by parent, our world began to kind of open up again. So in the midst of this, what felt like super lonely diagnosis, there were finally faces, people we knew, friendships developing, and people who really understood what we were dealing with. And then in the middle of all of that, there was Flo. And, she's always had this incredible ability to connect with people and, assume that everyone in the room is there to greet her. And, she loves music, swimming, bubbles. She loves making people smile. She's very willful and will direct you exactly to what she wants, which is this microphone. It's very hard to say no to her. And she's taught us that, communication is so much bigger than words, and that joy doesn't depend on independence. Flo has changed our lives in absolutely the best ways that's beyond difficult to describe. She's funny, she's opinionated, she's determined, she's curious, super social, and she's taught us to celebrate things that we have never, we would have never noticed. A steadier step, a longer hug, a bubble blown through a party horn, which she started doing last week, which we're very excited about. And, I suppose I wish I could say there was some progression after that we accepted and adapted. But really, we've always kind of gone back and forth in our feelings and our space. There was mornings when we were planning the auction where I would spend, hours on the phone with Christie's auction house, who hosted this art auction for us, which was incredibly wonderful and generous. And then my afternoons would be spent wandering Target, trying to find just the right toys to snap Flo out of the diagnosis. So, we knew a new toy wasn't going to cure STX, but it was, that, what if this helps? What if that helps? And we spent a long time in that space, and sometimes still do. Fast forwarding, because I feel this is actually so much longer than I meant for it to be. Anyway, just to mention the auction, you know, I had two very good friends that said, like, what can we do to support you and Sam? And in the business that I work in, art auctions are really common because you can have these high value items, but a lot of the infrastructure that supports artists, and you know, they're nonprofits, they don't have big budgets, they need a lot of support. So an auction can be a very quick means to an end. And I started calling artists. You know, my two friends said, like, what can we do to support you? And I was like, well, we have to do the auction. And I always think that what was really meaningful was all of these people who didn't know STXBP1, they don't know our children, they don't know the ins and outs of this disorder. They were so impassioned to be there, to support, to give. The collectors turned up. We ended up raising somewhere around 1.6 million now. That was, thank you. But I mean, beyond that, what felt so good was really just having, like, I was on a business call 2 days ago, and a curator in Germany said to me, yes, it's STXBP1, right? And I was like, oh my God, that's exactly it. So visibility, you know, is really like the thing we want the most. I'm gonna give the mic back to Melissa. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bridget. I wanted to make one point that Bridget did not make, and that is that $1.6 million launched our STAR study, and we would be nowhere near where we are today without the STAR study, which has made our research progress exponentially. So that has really helped us to fast forward to impact, which is what our conference is called today. And that's why we wanted to start with Bridget's story, because we are where we are today, and we are moving forward because of the impact that her fundraiser and awareness has really brought to STXBP1. So thank you, Bridget. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Flo. Thank you.